Greetings, dear brothers and sisters, dear sons and daughters in the light. I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, and how wonderful it is to have you here with us. For whenever the children of the light are here, we can bless you and give you deeper instruction on how to walk your higher path. We can help you to understand your life greater so that you are more flowing in your life and you grow with a deeper harmony in your most beautiful lives. We help you to grasp life higher. We awaken you to your deeper love within. And when you come onto the road of deep love, you learn to travel within, and you gain deeper answers to everything in your life. And here you are on a beautiful journey about learning to stand and walk in your awakened heart. In the coming few years, you will learn to awaken more into your heart, and you will become so connected to the light realms. Many gifts are awaiting you, and many gates of deeper knowledge will be given to you. And we are asking each one of you, are you desiring the higher pearls of the heavens? Are you desiring to understand your deeper beauty and your deeper love so that you can truly say, I am a pearl of the great divine. I am a treasure of the great divine. And I know that the great divine sees me as a great pearl. And each time you come here, we create that deeper pearl of wisdom within you. And this evening you will learn so much about your deeper wisdom. You will learn to be more in the light and to stand stronger in the light and to be more committed to yourself on your journey of love. You will learn more about the sacred violet flame and the purpose of its creation, and how you can claim it deeper within. And you will also understand how much we love you on a very great level, and how you can go within that love deeper. So we welcome each child in the love and the light. And the blessings are so rich when you listen to these teachings. For it is not only the words that you hear that will create change within your lives, but it is the healing vibrations. For each word carries a tune. And when you allow yourself to carry the tune from the highest heavens, you begin to take on a higher shine and a higher path. So we say welcome to these most glorious times of learning and of higher love consciousness. Blessed are those ones who desire these teachings, for they will find their deeper peace and happiness and healing. I will draw back now for a few moments to allow Sarah, Pleiadian High Priestess, to come through for you, and then I shall return with the teaching. Greetings, I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great.
Greetings.
Greetings, I am Sarah, Pleiadian Master, Pleiadian Guide, Pleiadian High Priestess, Ashiana Goni. It is always so delightful to come through for the people who love the light. For when you love the light, you sing a beautiful tone of music to the greatest archangels. For you are saying, I am so ready to hear the higher teachings. I am so ready to hear the greater healings. For when I am in the light, my soul heals. And when I feel the love pouring into me, the great light sings a higher tune within me. For I am part of the light, and the light always refreshes me. And when I am on my soul journey of great love, then I am truly blessed and seen by the highest of archangels. And this is the song that we as Pleiadians of love and light also sing to the greatest of archangels. We sing with our hearts. With our great intelligence, we know many tunes. We know how things work on many levels, much more than you do. We work with higher star beings to create greater gates of technology. But it is always the heart that is more important than our information that we receive. And for you too, you must learn to do this. To learn to live within the heart of love, rather than soak up all the knowledge. All the knowledge that you have at this time is only so small compared to what is coming. However, how can you receive the greatness? How can you receive the great knowledge of the heavens unless you know the heart within? For it is not possible to understand the great gates of the heavens unless you become awakened within. So now it is time to learn the heart and to become so in touch with yourselves. I would like to bring through a beautiful blessing from the stars to you, to awaken your heart to the love, so that you do not only want the knowledge, for you will gain much knowledge, but so that you find it more important, and you know it is more important to walk within the awakened heart, for the heart already knows everything. It is time to awaken to you. Greetings, I am Sarah, Pleiadian Master, Pleiadian Guide, Pleiadian High Priestess. Greetings. Greetings, dear brothers and sisters, dear sons and daughters in the light, I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, and I speak to you from very divine spaces. I am the messenger of the great divine himself, who has created me to be the messenger of the truth and the light, to give the greatest way possible to return to the oneness, to the greatness, to the great light, to the great source of all that is. I am the same being who used Jesus 2,000 years ago as my channel. And when I said I will return to speak to the people, I meant it. And the people back then knew that the great Master would return. How will you come back, great Master, great Lord? And the words were said through my chosen word upon this plain. So they knew very well that I used a channel. And they knew that Jesus spoke for the Divine Father. When he began to bring the wisdom through, they knew that it wasn't the wisdom of a human being, but it was the wisdom of a far higher being, of the great Lord, the great Father. Are you accepting of this? Are you accepting that Jesus was my messenger? Each time you hear me speak now, I shall talk about this, because this is so important for you to understand this very truth. Why is it important? Because I have returned to bring greater teachings to your plane, to open greater doors of awakening, to bring you greater truth from my Father, who is the great source. Do you understand this? Can you comprehend how great this is? So many people tried to get rid of Jesus as my channel. And he said, we don't want to hear the great teachings being spoken. And so the great hate was often given to Jesus. Yet he kept going. And he kept speaking to the people. He kept speaking of the great truths, of the great heavens. And this time I've chosen Suzanna, Maria, Emmanuel, who comes from the same line. Why should that surprise you? You might say a woman this time. We were expecting a man if it was at all going to be. Why? For the woman is much stronger than a man. The woman represents the birth of a new creation, of a new age, of a new awakening, of the great sun returning. In ancient Lemuria, she also spoke with my being a sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great. And in each time she was a sacred light grid programmer, she was a woman. The woman is much more powerful than a man. A woman needed to be created as a gateway to the greater truth and the greater light. And you needed to see this happening. Do you understand the greatness? So many people say, look, the Messiah has risen up here. Look, the Messiah has risen up there. And yet I say, like I've already said in previous teachings, no person can be the Messiah. It is only a divine being who can bring that salvation to the people. Do you recognize this? Are you humble enough to see the truth? Or do you stand there in all your beautiful egos and say, but Lord, this is not possible. We never expected a channel to rise and speak for you. We never believed that higher consciousness would come when you returned. Many take on these views. Many believe this. We ask you to look at everything again and understand how important this is. The people in the days of Jesus did not believe it either until later. At first they said, Jesus, you are mad. Look at you, you're speaking. You're speaking high words and high knowledge. And yes, new teachings granted. But have you made them up? Have you decided on the spot to become famous, Jesus? And many of them started throwing stones, and they even spat at him. Some came with buckets of water, although your buckets are much different to their buckets. Can you see how important this is? They did not believe that he carried the word of the great divine. Many of them tried to make him go away. Go away, Jesus. We don't want to listen to you. In his great agony, he would come back time and time again because I said, Jesus, go back. Go and speak to the people. But Lord, who's going to listen? Yes, one or two will listen. But what you're asking me is too great. Not unlike Suzanna in this lifetime. Susanna had the same issues. But Lord Emmanuel, who's going to believe this? Who's going to believe that you spoke through Jesus? And you've approached me as a human being. And I kept saying to her, but Susanna, imagine that it was truth, and you refuse to bring the truth to mankind. And mankind could not find their salvation in truth. And then they had no way of coming back to the great light. Imagine that responsibility coming back to you. So it's better, dear child, that you carry on. And that you keep bringing through the words of the great Lord and see what eventuates. So year after year, she's carried on, and I will use no other channel. If anyone professes to channel Lord Emmanuel the Great, please do not believe them, for there is no purpose for anyone else. For I have created the channel along with Cryon, and it must happen now that the greater gates of knowledge must open, so that your awakening becomes more beautiful. But will you accept this great truth? Or will you say, but Lord Emmanuel, we cannot. We do not believe that spirituality is like that. We do not understand it. We're afraid to see it. We're afraid to delve within it and understand its truth. And I say to you, why did all the teachings of the past come true then? And how did they come through? Was it not channels? For only truth and information from the higher heavens can come through channels. There is no other way. So how am I going to create a greater way for your awakening? Surely there must be more than your scriptures. Surely there must be more than your knowledge currently upon the earth. Surely there must be a greater way to the greater keys of awakening. Do you not agree, friends? For if your knowledge was all there is, what would you know about the future? How would you ascend upwards? How would you know about the great truth of the divine? What is its divine plan? How will you ascend to the great evolved awakening? Because there would be no further information coming to your plane anymore, unless a great divine master stood up and began to use a sacred channel designated for that purpose. For there is no other great channel that will rise with this knowledge. It's not possible. All through these times, we've sent great channels. There was only one who could hold the great arrays of the great archangelic realms, and it was so purposed. In the same way that Jesus was sent to the earth, it's the same way that Suzanna is sent to the earth. And yet, it is so difficult to believe that it could happen in your age. Why is it that it's so easy for you to understand it happened 2,000 years ago? And when it happens in your modern times, like it was foretold it would happen, many say, but Lord, how can it happen? Why go to her? Why not somebody more famous? I say, why not? For it is the most innocent heart that would open to the truth the most. And Suzanna has that most innocent heart because she's so pure. I could not use anyone else. And here I'm speaking to your hearts. I'm asking your hearts to open to the great power within you so that we can create the greater way to your ascension and your higher purpose. Again, I go back to the times of Jesus. How many times Jesus went into the desert saying to the great Lord, Lord Emmanuel, I refuse to go back to those cities. For the people do not listen to me, and whenever I open up my mouth, they say, from what space were you born, Jesus? Why are you even here? Don't you know how much knowledge we have? We can recite all the scriptures better than you. Who are you talking about? Who is the great Father that you're speaking about? For we do not know such a being. And if there was such a being, then that being would be shown to us, not you. You come from the poor town. We are from the rich towns. We are from the rich status. Look at our fringes, how great they are. We've studied everything. We've traveled far. We know, we've got the knowledge and the power. What do you know? You know nothing. So you're a healer. But what do you know? Why would a great divine being come through you, Jesus? This is what Jesus had to cope with. And Jesus would be in absolute agony. Yes, on the outside, you may not have noticed it, but on the inside, he went away. And at times, his friends had to console him greatly. We had friends who believed in him, and they said, Jesus, what does your Lord say? Jesus would say, I've been told to keep going back, but why? He says keep going back because there are people that needed to hear. So Jesus kept returning back. And slowly, the number of people that began to listen became greater and greater. But his courage was enormous. So if you truly believe that Jesus suddenly stood there and all the people began to believe him, you are so wrong. Those are the stories that you choose to believe. And Jesus was never seen as a holy man. Never. He always said, I am humbly doing the work of my Father. My Father sent me to your plain to speak the truth and the truth only. And that is all I will do, is speak from the truth. He speaks truth, and he is from the greatest of light. If you choose to listen to the other leaders, then please do so. For then I will wipe my hands, and I will shake the dust from my feet. For I will only listen to those who choose to listen to the words of my Father. For this is why I have been sent, to speak to the humble ones, to speak to the ones who choose to listen and who choose to understand. Happy is the one who chooses to see the light. For when the one sees the light within them, that one will reach deeper within them and heal in the greater light. That one will receive the great blessings from my Father, who sent you also to this most beautiful earth. For where you come from, I come from. And when you see the perfection of all that is in the glorious heavens, then you will say, I am perfect, as you are perfect. For everyone is perfect in the eyes of the great Father. These were the words of Jesus, and this is the way he spoke. Still, it puzzled many of the leaders. The leaders did not want Jesus to speak to the people. The leaders stood in all their might and power. This is the truth. And the more that Jesus gained the followers to listen to the great word of my being, the more angry the leaders became. Do not listen to this man who speaks the word from his Father, for the Father we do not understand at all. We understand our God, and our God is the old God, and it is your God. And if you choose not to listen to your God, then you will be severely judged and punished. Jesus, on the other hand, spoke a different story. There is no judgment in the greater heavens. For the humble ones who see the truth, there is only love, and there is only divine perfection. For how can a divine Father bring punishment upon you? How can you learn ways that are not just, when all of the great heavens are just and love? And then the great leaders in the great temples would be more angry and say, you must listen to our ways. We have discussed many more ways for you to listen to our rules. Here you have more guidelines to follow, and if you do not listen to these guidelines, then you will be cast out of these temples and out of our villages. So they came back to Jesus. Our leaders said this, we are so upset. What is your Father saying? Jesus went quiet. You must be quiet within your hearts, for you only know truth and love in your hearts. You know the divine way within your hearts. Is there unjust within your heart? No. For how can unjust be created with a just voice and a love that is so pure? For the ways of love are true. And the Lord certainly does not create anything else but love and light. And their love in the heavens are completely unconditional. You do not need to follow guidelines. There are only one or two guidelines you need to follow. And that is learn to love yourselves. Learn to love your neighbors and love the great Lord. For when there is only love in your heart, you will find the way back to the love. And so the great leaders became even more angry. And the angrier they became, the more rules and burdens they put upon the people, and the greater the following of Jesus became. So you can see how it worked. And because the people were so entrenched with the burdens of those rules in those days, they were greatly held under those burdens. And this is why Jesus always talked about freedom. When you follow the kingdom within your heart, you will find the freedom. Because the truth is what will set you free. Is it truth, what they are teaching? Is it truth when you hear the judgment and the fear being spoken? Or how can truth be that when you come from love? Well, the Father knows no judgment. It does not even enter into the great mind. So do not believe the stories of the people. Come back to the great Father, for in that the greatness will always set you free. And then he brought out another teaching. It is only the humble ones who will understand these teachings. The more humble you are, the more you will listen. For when you are not, you will choose to listen to all the other stories. For that is what will attract you, all the power and the gains. The ones who truly listen to the words of the great Father and understand the love and understand the truth, they are the ones that will enter into the greater kingdom. For them it is beautiful and love and divine, and they will truly understand the power of the light. So back in the temple, the leaders became more angry, and the judgment will come upon those who do not desire our ways in the temple, and you will feel the fears of the great Lord. Do not listen to that silly man who speaks about the great Father. So the people went back to Jesus. Are we judged, dear Jesus? Does the great Father judge us? And Jesus would teach like this. There is no judgment in the great heavens. For judgment is only created by man who believes in their own power. How can the great Lord teach judgment when there is no judgment? There is only love, and in love you were created, and in love you will return to. And the great Father will never judge you. The great Father only has love for his children. Please listen to the wise words. So they will go back to the great leaders. And they were pulled. Many were pulled in between because they were so fearful. They wanted to listen to Jesus. But because of their great fear, they went back to the leaders. And so they were sitting on the fence. So one of Jesus' teachings was, learn to decide for yourselves which is true. Do you desire the fair ways? Then go back to the fair ways. Because you cannot be in the fear and the love in the same ways. You must understand that when you follow the path of the Father, it must be all with your heart. And then you must leave the ways of the leaders of the fear and the judgment. Do not go in between. Decide for yourselves. Again, the great Father will not judge you for your decisions. And you will be greatly blessed for your decision when you want to be in the light more. But then if you want to be in the light, do not go back to the men who claim they are working the works of the great Father, for they are not. They don't understand anything of the love. They only understand judgment and fear and burning and stoning. That's what they understand. Come to the love and be in the love and celebrate the love within you and learn the ways of the great Father and understand that there is a great time coming when there will be only love upon this plane. For it is the great kingdom that will come upon your plane and bring the great light. And then these others that claim to worship the Lord will not be there any longer, for they will be shown up. They are like wolves in sheep's clothing. They look like sheep. They look like the light, but they are not. Within themselves they are wolves, craving for each one who wants to be in the love. And they will say, "Come to me, I will show you the way, and I will show you the judgment. And if you choose not to listen to me, then you will be judged." Do not listen to them, for they are not in the light. Only the love in the light will show you unconditional love. And it is that unconditional love that will set you free. When you seek the kingdom first, then everything will be added to you. You will no longer be short of anything. For the great Father in the heavens knows all your desires, and it knows what you need. See the lilies in the field? The lilies do not have anything short either. They are always clothed with love. The birds always know their songs too, and they never starve. For the great Father always looks after all of creation. Are you not worth more than all of creation? Are you not worth more than the lilies and the birds and the trees? Are you not worth more than the flowers and the bees and all of creation? For in the eyes of the Father you are all love. You're part of Him, and you are perfect as He is perfect also. So these were the teachings of Jesus. And this is why the following became greater and greater, because they could hear the great love being spoken. So even though it took a while for that following to grow, and even though it took a while for the people to decide whether they were part of those who claimed to be in the light, but were not, and to be in the light with Jesus and listen to the great teachings, slowly many of them decided to go to the love ways. And then, because they were in the great love, they became more free within their voices. And the leaders of those days lost their control. Well, how can you have control when your followers walk away? You cannot. You can only have control when you have a lot of followers. And those followers, they believed, could be only controlled with fear and judgment. Jesus said, you cannot be controlled. It is your own choice. You will never be controlled by the great Father. You must make up your own minds, for they will control you with their burdens. For the great Father will never control you. You can come and go as you please, for For the love of the great Father is so beautiful. There is nothing needed. He does not need you to love him. He does not need your worship. He only wants you to be happy and find the freedom within. There will be a day upon your plane when every child and every woman and every man will say, we walk in the ways of the great Father, and we are so blessed. And there'll be a day when every person upon your plane will be fed, and there will be no more sickness, and there will be no more calamities, and there'll be no more struggle, and there will be no more judgment, and every person will understand the truth within your heart, because your kingdom is within you, and you have the keys to unlock your kingdom. So go forth, little children of the light, and learn to decide for yourselves. And so these were the teachings of Jesus. Now I bring them through again to show you that I have returned. Are you accepting of the great Lord? Are you accepting that Jesus was a beautiful channel? The stories of the darkness twisted all things about Jesus, and they exaggerated the story so much so that when the great Lord, myself, returned to your plane, you would not believe the stories and the truth. You would say, but Lord, Emmanuel, how can that be? How can you use Suzanna? For we did not believe a channel would return. And in the minds of the people, the channel would be so great and so mighty that they would be blinded and they would walk away from the truth. This is what the darkness wanted. So they created stories about Jesus and twisted and left so much out. However, Jesus never claimed to be anything more other than the word of the great Lord. And I, Lord Emmanuel, the great word of my great Father. So to speak my truth to the people, I needed a channel. And I promised the people that I would return. And I have. 2,000 years later, when the people are ready to go up higher, when the people are ready to listen once again, I would return. Are you desiring the great Lord? Are you desiring the higher teachings of the great divine? Or are your ears closed? How long will it be before you begin to recognize? How long will it be before you begin to say, I celebrate the great divine once again? For the great Lord, Emmanuel, has returned again to our plane. It is beautiful, is it not, when you begin to accept? And when you begin to accept, you begin to understand the power of the teachings. And you begin to see the truth within you, that you are from the light also. So begin to recognize it and begin to see the importance of these times and to celebrate it. And when I give you the torch of awakening, will you decide to carry it? Will you decide to say, Great Lord, I humbly accept you? Or will you decide, I cannot? It is up to you, our dear friends. And I shall leave you with those most beautiful thoughts and ponder upon it deeply. Greetings, I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel.